My brother is dead, and you think such a thing? I can't believe it. I can't be with anymore.
My husband Jaden loudly shouting me the funeral, but I knew that he was faking his true intention. His body smells of perfume, just like brother's wife.
I want to divorce. Divorce me immediately.
Okay, let's get a divorce then.
My husband was stunned for a moment, then accepted the divorce easily. But gradually began to smile. He probably thinks he can be happy with his dead brother's wife now that he's divorced me. That's not that easy, I whispered to myself so that no one hear me. My name is Stella. I live with my husband Jaden and my mother-in-law. My parents have already passed away, have no siblings. My mother-in-law warmly welcomed me as her daughter. I was so happy to have a family because I had been alone and depressed with no one to talk to. I love my mother-in-law and appreciate her so much. My husband had a younger brother, Beck. Bobby is married to a young woman who lives near my in-laws' house. When I joined the family, Bobby welcomed me with open arms and had the same kind of love that my mother-in-law had. We live close to each other, so my brother-in-law's family and our family sometimes travel together. I was very happy with my new family, but those happy days were coming too. One day, my brother-in-law was rushed to the emergency room. I left work and went to the hospital. In the hospital room, my mother is crying. I sat by her side and asked about his condition.
He seems to have passed the critical point, but the doctor told us it was too early to tell.
I held my mother-in-law's shoulder, encouraging her that everything would be all right. Still, no sign of my husband or my brother-in-law's wife. I wanted them to come as soon as possible because my mother-in-law needs them too. My husband is on an urgent business trip, but it seems he's on his way home now. But my mother-in-law is at a loss as to why she can't even get in touch with wife Karen. I'm wondering if there's any way to her, but there was nothing we could do if we couldn't get in touch with her. We just kept waiting and waiting. I wonder how much time passed. Suddenly, we heard footsteps approaching the hospital room. It was my husband and Bobby's wife. He explained the situation to the hospital staff and brought them along with him. I was glad that they were able to meet up with each other. I was so relieved, but then I felt sensation. My husband, he smells different. Oh, is he wearing perfume? It smells somewhere. I looked over and saw Karen holding my brother-in-law's hand. A few days later, my brother-in-law left. The wake and the funeral had gone hitch, and things had settled down to a certain extent. I noticed that my husband was taking Karen in a very friendly way. It's true that she may need some extra emotional support as her husband has recently passed away. However, she seemed to be very close husband and even seemed to be having time. I found myself doubting their relationship when her beloved husband was gone, and I felt intense self-loathing. I guess I just have a different way of looking at things, and that's how my husband takes the situation. Besides, it would be better for Art to be happy rather than being depressed. I thought about it and stopped thinking about it after that, but maybe I should have thought about it more carefully. After a while, my husband made a shocking revelation to me.
There's something I want you to hear.
I was folding laundry when my husband said that. I stopped and faced him because he was talking to me with such a serious expression in his eyes.
I've been missing something ever Sir Brother passed away. It's a wound that won't go away. Even when I'm with you, it wouldn't heal.
I was shocked, to be honest. I thought I was taking care of my health my own way. I was trying to do for him what my mother-in-law did for me, but that didn't seem to be enough. It hadn't been that long since my brother-in-law passed away. I was trying not to show that I was nodding and listening to the rest of the story.
But I've met someone who makes me feel like I can do anything. You see, it's Karen, Bobby's wife. She, too, said, losing her husband a hole in her heart. I think there are some things that filled only by those who have lost they love.
The wind has changed. I have a bad. I tried to deny in my heart that it was true, but to no avail.
The love of my life was my brother Karen.
My head was spinning. What the hell talking about? At that moment, I remembered what had happened at the hospital. My husband was on a business trip and was out of touch. They showed up at the hospital together, smelling the same perfume.
Karen is my destiny. I know that now. We just met in the wrong order.
That's why he was so obsessed with.
You've been planning to do it for a long time, haven't you?
That's what I found myself saying.
What do you mean? Are you saying that I've been having an affair for a while?
I came back to myself in surprise at my husband's fury. I explained to him that although it had come out of my mouth unconsciously, but the more I told him about the people, how friendly they were, and how much they took care of me, the more I said, the more I was the allegations of infidelity. My husband felt attacked in his mood. He showed his displeasure and made to me.
We're still grieving and you're talking about such a thing? I can't believe it. I can't be with anymore.
And my husband and I left. The sight of my husband's back as he walks away from me. And the fact that he has chosen to be my life partner. The accident and the shock hit me at once, and all I could do was cry. It was so painful that I felt like doing something or else I couldn't handle it. I picked up my brother-in-law's belt. Bobby was into taking photos and had a neat album of his photos. I opened it up to see a picture of trip together. The happiness in the photo is not a lie. I may have destroyed even the possibility of filling it. All I can feel is sadness. As I flip through the album and look at various photos, something slips through the cracks. It was an envelope. A few days later, my husband and I got a divorce. When my mother-in-law learned about her husband's story and his intention to leave, she cried and apologized to me.
I'm so sorry for my stupid son. I know you will be happy, Stella. Even though we are separated by distance, you and I are still family. So it needs me. Please call me immediately.
My mother-in-law has always been goofy, and she has nothing to apologize for. Making someone as kind as your mother-in-law cry made me feel even sadder about leaving her. I moved out of my in-laws' house and started living alone. I lived alone before I got married, irresistibly lonely. However, such loneliness only lasts while. 2 months later, I got a call from my mother-in-law. Apparently, my ex-husband and Karen are on their own. Because of this, my mother-in-law had too much space in her house. She's thinking of getting rid of it, starting a life on her own. But if she moves out, she won't have friends in the neighborhood to rely on. She asked me if it was okay for her to a place close to me. Hearing my mother-in-law's voice with a sad smile on her face, I suggested that we move in together. At first, she was reluctant to do S, convinced her that I couldn't leave alone. In the end, we bought an apartment in together. Since we started living together, knew more like real mothers and daughter ever before. These days went on for a while. I received a call from a number I didn't recognize, and it was her, Karen. I asked her what she wanted after years.
How come the house is not there? And what is more, you've been adopted into Goda's family through Christ.
I thought my heart would stop in surprise when she suddenly shouted in my ear. There is now another building on my parents-in-law's property, which my mother-in-law sold. Since she sold the land, it is not sown that there is a new building there. Also, the adoption was proposed by my mother-in-law when we decided to move together. the exact opposite of what she suggested moving in together, and I was initially reluctant to ask her to go that far. But my mother-in-law said she wanted real family, and I didn't mind. However, the fact that Karen complained made me think that she was also Bobby's inheritance, which was inherited from my mother. Soon after my mother and I moved in, it came up many times that Karen had married my ex-husband for Bobby's money. And now that she had inherited a fortune, we managed to keep her from being spoiled. I opened my mouth, knowing that to come.
I don't deserve to be told what to not family anymore. I want you to be thankful that I did not ask for alimony for the affair. If that's what you want, I'll ask for it.
My ex-husband told my mother that he was divorcing me, and she declared herself insulated from him. Karen seemed a little taken aback by my response, but regained her composure and retorted,
You had accused Jaden of adultery before we were together, hadn't you? You made him want to leave you. You ashamed of yourself.
Huh? What if I told you I have proof that he's lying?
Her response is so predictable that with a bit of a snarl, silence flows from the phone. I found that letter. Yes, the envelope that came out of brother-in-law's photo album the day husband left me. The letter was filled with his grudge.
The doctor told me I don't have much, so when you read this, I won't be around anymore. This letter contains the hidden evidence of my wife's affair with Jaden. If Jaden or Karen find this letter, destroy it all. Then I will have failed miserably. But if you, Stella, find this letter and my brother are punished for what they deserve.
My brother-in-law's letter also conveyed his feelings for his wife.
After we got married, Karen quit her. She thought it was my job to make so she just sat around the house and nothing. When I told her that we should help each other out a little more, she got upset. And then there were days when she thought I wasn't making enough money. I had a hard time accepting that my changed so much, so if I could work hard and make her easier, I hoped she would return to self. But that was her true self, ashamed that I didn't see it.
If my ex-husband and Karen hadn't gotten involved, I wouldn't have done anything worse. But if I let her misdeeds go any further, I had to take action for my late brother-in-law.
Bobby saw through you two a long tin, and he had gathered all the evidence going to ask you to pay alimony.
It was easy to imagine her shaking phone. She's trying to sound as strong as with that shaky voice of hers.
There's no way you can ask for alimony that we're married. That's a bluff. You're trying to scare me, but it's not going to work.
Be my guest. Paying for a lawyer because you know. Well, I'm sure it's a waste of money. You seem to have studied the divisibility property, but you didn't learn about it. So naive. You thought Bobby didn't know anything about it, did you?
I didn't flinch at all. Then she hit me violently. Later, I filed a claim for alimony from my ex-husband and his new wife through the court. After a while, my ex-husband contacted my mother. Apparently, he wanted to leave Carl with my mother. Karen's original bad character comb. Her anger at being charged with alienation of affection. She seems to be doing pretty much what she wants to do with my ex-husband. My ex-husband's voice is so tired it sounds like he's a newlywed. Like my late brother-in-law, he failed to see her true nature. It's amazing what blood can do to you. I'm sitting next to my mother, talking on the phone.
Come on, Mom. I didn't know she was that. I can't live with her anymore. I just want to be with you and my son again.
What the hell? You're the one who wasn't the one and left. I won't allow a man to hurt my daughter. Won't let you live with us. If you're really sorry, you'll first pay alimony. If you do anything to me or Stella, the police.
No. Mom, please.
I can hear the pathetic voice of my ex-husband on the phone. But he is after all my mother's own. She couldn't forgive him, so she gave him mercy.
If you really can't pay the alimony, pay it for you instead of a living. In exchange, you must forgo all inheritance rights after my death, and never to appear in front of us.
My ex-husband had no choice but to witness his mother's last act of mercy. We never heard from them again. My mother and I still spend time together. When we're happy, we rejoice together. When we're sad, we comfort each other. And if we have a bad day, we've built our bond strong enough to be able to clash other.
Bobby, I've got your revenge.
I still remember my brother-in-law. Although we are not related by blood, we have a strong bond with my mother, and we live happily together as a family.